Hola, soy Luis Quid. Bienvenidos a otro episodio de HP, el podcast en el que hablamos de temas de salud mental en nuestras experiencias dentro de industrias creativas, como lo son game dev, streaming, industria del gaming, animación, música, entre otros. El día de hoy estamos yo, Luis Quid, y mi compañero señor extremo, Alex, con una invitada muy especial. Su nombre es Alanna, su handle de Twitter es Tibawai. Y ella es fundadora de Team Toadhouse, que es un estudio de desarrollo de juegos que se enfoca más que nada a juegos narrativos. Justo el día de ayer sacaron su más reciente juego, que es Good Looking Home Cooking, que es un juego que gira en torno del Ramadán y sobre la comida que se da en ese tiempo dentro de esta tradición. El episodio va a ser en inglés, por si tienen dudas o preguntas. Está mi Ginger en el chat para ayudarles, ya sea traduciendo o por si necesitan algo que quieran comentar, también sin ningún problema, ahí estamos en el chat, ¿vale? Ok, entonces vamos a cambiarnos a inglés. Hello, Alanna.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Alex? Nice to have you here.
Excited to have Alanna here.
Awesome. Me too. First of all, thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this episode. We're so excited when she'll shared your contact with us, and we're so happy to have you here.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. Anyways, to start this with, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your past projects, where you are right now, whatever you want to tell us?
Sure. So to sum her up, I'm Alanna. Alanna rhymes with banana if you have an American accent. If you don't, it doesn't. I'm the founder of Toadhouse Games and Team Toadhouse. Toadhouse Games is a visual novel indie game studio, and Team Toadhouse is a gamer-centric self-care community associated with it. We believe that the world's a very difficult place to live in, but as long as we keep supporting each other and lifting each other up, it makes it okay, and we can get through it together, and life is worth living. So everything we do is feeding into Toad Support Toads and into that motto, if you will. I don't know. Motto? Yeah, let's call it a motto. We do have a game coming out next year that's Call Me Sarah. Sarah is C-E-R-A. It's about making friends as an adult, and it's very much based on my own experiences going to therapy. Therapy is a core gameplay mechanic in it. And we have a couple of vignettes coming out that but before the game comes out, that take place a year before the game happens. So because Call Me Sarah is about making friends, if you play the vignettes, you'll learn about the locations and the characters in Call Me Sarah, which will help you play the game easier because you'll know who you're talking to. The current one that just came out, was it yesterday? Time doesn't make sense to me anymore. Releasing a game is stressful. I think it was yesterday. It's called Good Looking Home Cooking, as you said. And it's about two best friends running a food truck during the busy month of Ramadan. And the stress of running a business with your best friend. And basically you get to decide whether they stay friends or not, because it's stressful. Whether they hate each other or if they are successful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you here, and it's so exciting to hear about your game.
It happened. It happened so quickly.
What?
Your camera.
Yeah, we lost you for a bit again.
Oh.
Welcome back.
Damn.
Yeah, I think you're back. Good.
Well, but can you hear my audio? That's the real
Yes.
question. Okay, awesome. Then it's fine. It doesn't matter if I freeze for a little bit. Like I was saying, it's awesome that your game just released. I actually played it yesterday as I got off work, and it's so cool. I just left the games. I think it's the games here. Yeah, the games URL, and also Team Toadhouse and Alanna's social media in the chat. So if you want to go and follow them, go ahead, chat. We really appreciate it.
I'm delighted to hear you liked it. Thank you very much for playing my game.
Yeah, it's amazing. The like the audio piece. Oh my god, I'm really into like music and audio, and that's why like I admire so much Shell. But like the audio in the game is so cool, and I really liked it. I'm so excited for you to release eventually.
Thank you. Our composer, his name is Chris Kirk. He just took I gave him a bunch of concepts and ideas. I was very artsy fartsy about it, for lack of a better word. I was like, I want them to feel this way. And it's like, tell me, just run with it. When they come to this place, I want them to feel safe and secure. So a lot of the lore of Call Me Sarah and the Fernvie is the town Call Me Sarah takes place in. And the lore is that in the United States, there was a huge, and this is true, there was a huge influx of German and Irish immigrants in the mid to late 1800s. And so a lot of the towns that were founded at that time have German names, and Fernvie is a German name. And Weidgunstein Park, I butchered that, but that's Weidgunstein Park is a German name as well. So the lore is that the town itself was founded by Germans. So a lot of the places are named in German, but the people living there currently, because it's an American town and this is so American, are mostly South Asian. So even though the foundation is German, they have Diwali, they have like a lot of South Asian, especially Hindu holidays in their town square. So it really shows like how America, like it's all immigrants, but it's like waves of different types of immigrants. But as for the German, Fernvie is that feeling of it's basically wanderlust, like that feeling of homesickness for a place you've never been, that feeling of wanting to travel, that feeling of home when you're traveling. And so since Sarah is starting over in this new town, I thought that was really poetic because I'm like that.
Oh no.
I think we lost Alanna.
Oh no. No, it's not me. Oh wait.
I turned off Twitch. Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
I think my computer can only handle Discord or Twitch at once, and Twitch decided to overtake it. My bad. But I closed down Twitch, so now we're fine. What I was saying is I basically told Kirk these definitions of each location, and he just ran with it. So I was like, I want them to feel this way. The place means this. This is what it stands for. This is the lore. And he came up with this album that is just so beautiful and perfect, and it's great to read to. It's not too distracting because visual novels are a lot of reading. It loops really well. I am so proud of what he put into that album. That album's fantastic.
Awesome. Like a big shout out to Chris, right?
Yes, Chris Kirk.
A big shout out to Chris. I'm gonna see if I can find like their social media, and if we do, we'll leave it in the chat. But huge shout out to Chris. You did an amazing job. But now,
find it.
yes, that would be amazing. Now we're gonna start. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I was going to towards that. All right, we're gonna start with talking about your projects now. Have you ever felt burnout in your projects?
Yes, I'm a game developer. Yes, in fact, before I started Team Toadhouse full time, I was, and still am for some places, but not so much anymore, a self-care consultant for the industry. So burnout is a big part of what I would go into studios to talk about. It's very prevalent in any industry, but particularly our industry, because we are a very young industry that values passion and late nights and crunch and all the myth BS that says if you really loved your game, you're going to kill yourself over it. So for me with burnout, everyone feels burnout, but because of my work as a self-care consultant, I know how to, first of all, recognize it when it's coming on, and second of all, treat it early before it becomes an issue of me going to the hospital, because you can end up in a hospital from burnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You can end up there. And now, how have you dealt with burnout?
you have to honestly legit just stop everything. Like, a lot of people, when they say they're going on vacation or they're taking a break because they're burnt out, what they really do is just pull back the work, even like 50, 75%, but they're still working. There's still something on the back burner that, like, well, I'm not going to be doing game dev, but I'll still be retweeting and I'll still be doing the community management bit. Or I won't be coding today, but I'll still be checking my emails and I'll still be available on Discord if you need me. When you feel burnout coming on, you legit have to shut it down, all of it down. You need to unplug your computer and lock it if you need to, and go on a walk in nature, or if you can, go on a vacation, or figure out something that's not related to what you're doing at all. Turn off your phone, uninstall Twitter, uninstall Discord, uninstall Slack. Put your phone on airplane mode. Nobody can touch you. Set out Autobots to be like, sorry, I am not here. You will have to figure it out on your own. I trust you. You got this. And unfortunately, it is true, especially in game dev, that sometimes you can't do that. Like, we just launched a game yesterday, right? I'm feeling fairly burnt out. It's exhausting. It's impossible to launch a game. I would love to just kind of turn everything off. So what I've told my team is, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do the minimal work. I'm going to, like, if we already have a meeting, of course I'll be there, but I'm not coding, I'm not game deving. We have 2 other games currently in production, so I'm not working on those in the next 2 weeks. And if that means we have to push forward our production schedule, fine. We are no crunch studio, and health is top priority. So that is what we'll do. And I encourage my staff to do the same. And in fact, by modeling that behavior, that's really how it has to happen. Because when I was a self-care consultant, often I'd go into a studio and the manager would tell me, yeah, our people are burnt out, but like, we tell them, yeah, go ahead and leave at 5 and go on vacation, but they just don't. And then I go, yeah, okay, but what do you do when you feel burnt out? Because you're the manager and they're looking at you. And he's like, oh, well, you know, the ship would sink without me. And I'm like, well, if the captain refuses to leave the ship, what does that say about the crew people that they leave at 5? You know, it puts this invisible pressure on people if the manager isn't following their same advice.
Yeah.
So if I need a day off, I take a day off, and I am very vocal about me taking a day off, not because I want my people to respect my day off. They can message me. I won't respond because I'm doing, you know, what I want. But it's more of, I want them to model that behavior, so when they need a day off, they do exactly what I'm doing and they know it's okay because I've done it.
Yeah, got it. And when did you learn that, well, the best way to deal with the burnout?
I've been in therapy for over a decade. And when you have mental illnesses that make just daily life tasks difficult,
Yeah.
you have to, at some point, recognize that it's not weakness to be soft on yourself. It actually makes you stronger and allows you to work for longer. So through trial and error, and through being bullheaded and insisting this was not the case, and then having my therapist be like, we tried it your way. Can we try it my way once and just see how it goes? And sure enough, I tried it her way. I shut everything down. I begrudgingly didn't work at all. I just did it because I was told to do it. And I got better quicker. I had a full recovery. I was able to manage myself better. And then I took that lesson. I was like, all right, maybe you're on to something. And then on the days that I felt low energy, she would say, well, okay, so today we can't be at 100%. That's fine. So just do that and don't push it further. And instead of being like, oh, I'm going to be hard on myself because today I can't be 100%, I'll say, well, today is one of those days that I'm feeling really squishy. So I need to work from home. I need to maybe stay in my PJs. I need snacks. And I need someone to baby me because I'm not feeling well. And I set this up for myself. And because I baby myself, it allows me to work harder. Like 5 years ago, before I started babying myself, I would not be able to run a studio, never mind release a game. That's bananas. I'm only allowed to do this. Not able, it was the word. I'm only able to do this right now because I baby myself and I take care of my mental health and my physical health by babying myself, even though it feels counterintuitive, but I promise you it works. I didn't believe it either, but I promise you that it works.
Yeah, I can imagine it works.
It's awesome. It's the first time I've heard someone use the term like, I'm feeling squishy today. And I can totally relate to that so badly.
I'm feeling
Awesome.
squishy. The world feels harsh. The world feels like too much. And I just want to curl up in a ball.
Yeah, I can totally like get behind those feelings. And what you're saying, like, and how you take care of yourself, actually sounds really nice. Now that, like, thinking about it, right? And like, this is like from your perspective, and like when with your team, how do you encourage them to like take care of themselves whenever they like start getting burnout or whatever they're like, even if they don't see it, when you see them like starting to get the burnout?
Well, first of all, I'm aware of it. So when I see it, I address it immediately. Second of all, I role model the behavior. So I'd be a hypocrite if they don't follow like they know it's okay because they know I'm not a hypocrite and they know that if I do it, that they're allowed to do it. So they feel the permission to take the days off. Third of all, I never punish them or make them feel pressured when they did. For example, one of our team members, and this is not just the only time, like it happens often because people are people, life happens, right? But the most recent was that one of our team members had a death in the family. And they said, I don't know if I can meet my deadlines. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't be able to make my deadlines either if I had a death in the family. What do you need? Like, focus on the human, because if you invest in the human, and if you're a good production manager, you're a lot like you enable yourself to focus on the human, then that human feels valued, wants to go to work, and will work and will produce good work. You know, it won't be that stressed out work that people give when they feel like they have to. So they take as much time as they need. The only thing I ask is that they need to keep me updated. So like, great, let me know on Friday how you're feeling. And and then I myself, without them, put on the production manager hat. And already first of all, we're no crunch studio. So there's a lot of wiggle room in our production schedule for any of our games. Second of all, I also add room for things like what happened. When things happen and deadlines need to be pushed back or moved, I have contingency plans. Like if so-and-so can't do this, I have this plan. If so-and-so calls out for this, I have this plan. And I feel like that's just part of being a good production manager, that I'm seeing all the ways this could possibly go wrong, and then I'm planning for them months in advance, which saves us money and time and headache and all sorts of hurt feelings. I think what's most important, though, is recognizing that it's not so much like, how do I say this? I feel like a lot of people in the industry feel like you need to have some sort of debilitating mental illness to take a mental health day. They feel guilty about taking their breaks.
Yeah.
But like from day one, I tell my team that's not how I feel. I give them the whole spiel of what I would like to see from them. I have very clear boundaries. I have very clear like deliverables, even for the soft skill stuff. Like for our community management's a hard one because how do you, like your tweet went viral? That's like no one can control that. So you have very clear deliverables so that they know if they do 2 tweets a week, then we're good and they're doing their job and they feel good about their job. You hit milestones that are realistic so that people don't get burnt out trying to keep up with your pace. And I also, when people sign on, I have a code of conduct that everyone signs along with their contract. That basically, among other things, it explains that we're no crunch, it explains that we're inclusive. But one of the things in there, it's that your health is important, but I'm not a mind reader. So the moment you feel like you need something, You just need to update. You don't need to give me reasons. I don't care. Your life's yours. But you need to update me and just say, hey, I'm feeling under the weather. You don't even have to tell me if you're uncomfortable, if it's a mental health versus the flu. I don't care. Just give me updates on like, I'm not at 100% this week. I'm feeling like I'm at 50%. Great. That's really helpful because then I can take that and I can change the production schedule or hire another person for that week to help you with your job or whatever I need to do to make you successful and us successful and set us up for success so that no one's feeling pressured or no one's feeling guilty like, oh, it's all on me. And if I don't do it this week, then the game doesn't come out or whatever weird thing. I feel like crunch really comes down to just bad production management. So I feel like a good production manager just puts these steps in. And by making them sign the code of conduct in the beginning, there's no it's very clear cut. Like, there's no questions, there's no gray area. So they feel very confident doing what I need them to do to keep us on schedule.
That's really awesome.
Either.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like actually giving the opportunity to your like teammates to like fail. I guess not failing, but like to actually admit that either they made a mistake, either they're not feeling well, and not feel guilty about it, which is it's really hard nowadays in like in the whole, not only the gaming industry, but like in a lot of other
every
industries.
industry.
Yeah. So that's really awesome. Thank you for answering the question.
My pleasure.
Now you've mentioned crunch now and the last question. So I want to hear your opinion, or I think we all want to hear your opinion on the saying that if there is no crunch, it won't be a good game.
Did you play Good Looking Home Cooking?
Not yet. I haven't played it.
But you did, didn't you?
I did.
Quinn? Was it a good game?
It was indeed a really good game.
Boom, proof's in the pudding. There was no crunch on that game, none whatsoever, and we made a good game, so.
And then we have Cyberpunk that, well.
That is such an unfortunate situation. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to articulate because that is very unfortunate, nuanced situation where a lot of those game dubs were failed by every step of the pipeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're sleeping under your desk in order to get a game made, really? I feel like the only type of person who needs to sleep at work are firemen and surgeons. And even then I'm like, could they not just go home to their family? Can we not just hire more surgeons and fire people?
Absolutely. Like, there's no need at all to like have people going
games.
through. Yeah, exactly.
We're making games. We're not saving lives here. We're making games. My goodness.
And like such a sort of like a follow-up to like Alex's question. There's also like a belief that's also glorified inside the industry, and I think you mentioned it a little bit in the past question, but the belief that the game should be above everything else, like I'm gonna work late hours because this is a project, like it may be personal, it may be professional, but I really care about it, so I'm gonna give it my all, even if that means I won't take care of myself. What do you think about those kinds of like behaviors?
That is not a long-term plan. That is a sprint. And if you want your career to be a marathon and not a sprint, if you want to make many games, if you want to keep up in this industry, if you want to keep going and then have a retirement party in 40 years, then you can't do that. You can think that you can, but you physically and literally cannot. And that's not me just going like, no, you can't. No, like you're going to kill yourself. So go for it. And then when you get in the hospital, remember I told you so. Like it's a myth. It's a myth because our industry is young, because people, the industry is also, it's very risky. There's no way to tell, well, not no way, but it's very hard to tell if your game's going to be a huge hit. And especially for indies, people are taking big risks in order to make these games, which is why I make games that I want to play. So at the end of the day, at least I have a couple of games to add to my collection that I can enjoy. I like playing my game. So that's entertainment for me. And if someone else likes it, great. But like, my goodness, I'm so against it. I'm having a hard time articulating. So I am so passionate about my games. You can tell by how detailed they are, about how much research was put into them, the time, the money, the resources, the cultural consultants. There's so much passion and love put into that project. To have a person then come to me and be like, but you didn't sleep under your desk and you didn't put yourself in the hospital. So did you really care about it? Yes, I did. And you can do both. It's almost like people like to say it's such a privilege to be part of this game industry. My darlings, it is just a job. It is a great job, but it's just a job. And if you're killing yourself over your job, I mean, there's more to life. First of all, you can't make good games if you're not living your life. You can't make 3D characters that are human and that people can relate to if all you do is stare at a screen and watch Netflix. Like that, you can't. You have to go out and you have to people watch and you have to talk to other people and you need to go experience life outside your little bubble and you need to travel and you need to mess up and then you need to take all of those experiences and come back and make games. And that's when the really good games come. And even the games that aren't narrative. I'm a heavy narrative person, so maybe that's a bit narrative. But even the cool games that like have some weird mechanic we haven't seen yet, a lot of it, like, okay, let's think, right? Pokemon is based on the creators collecting bugs when he was a 7-year-old boy on the Japanese countryside. He didn't play 50 hours of games every single week, grew up loving games, and then decided to make a video game because he wanted to be the next Notch. He collected bugs, loved it so much, and then wanted to make a game to share his experience and his feelings. And he made Pokemon. Iconic. Pikmin was made because Miyamoto was planting things in his garden, and he was like, this is the greatest game ever. And then he came up with this thing of like an alien visiting, and what if they found a bottle cap, and what if bottle cap is currency? And it's made, great games are made from living life. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I am so against that stupid myth because not only is it incorrect, but it is literally killing people in our industry. The fact that you can be in the game industry for 5 years and be considered a veteran is bananas. It's so unhealthy that I'm considered a veteran and I've shipped 2 games. I've shipped Good Lookin' Home Cookin' and Bendy the Ink Machine, and I'm considered a veteran.
I'm honestly like, everything you said, I really needed to hear that right now.
I'm like now tripping on that thoughts.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it's awesome. Like even for a while or for like a few minutes, people just been saying like, you know what, that's really awesome. Everything she's saying is like completely on point. So
I wish I could see chat, but anytime I open Twitch, Discord doesn't like it. So I'm sorry I can't see you.
That's okay. We'll let you know whenever like people are commenting on it. Thank you.
All right.
I feel like I just yelled at you for 5 minutes. I apologize.
No, that's
I feel
okay.
so
That's
strongly
amazing.
about it.
That's awesome, man.
Don't worry. It's a great mindset, and it makes you think a lot when you want to be part of the gaming industry. Like I'm joining Epic Monday next week. Not as a game developer, but on my way to being a game developer.
Awesome.
So
Can we get a hell yeah chat for Alex?
That's great. I don't know why you're downplaying it. That's great.
No, I'm not downplaying it. It's more like you left me thinking like a lot of that I wanna see there or want to improve there if something happens, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But talking about downgrading things, let's jump ahead to another topic that will be the imposter syndrome. And I want to know, how do you remind yourself that you're good at what you do?
This is going to sound so silly. And I promise I don't mean it facetiously. I mean this genuinely. I did it. Therefore, I did it. Like, it's like, oh, but am I good enough? Who cares? Who cares if it's good enough? I did it. Some people don't make games. Some people, they're so frozen that they never make the game. I made the game. People are playing it. I did it. So like the proof's right there. If who cares if am I good at it though? And should I? Is it okay? Do I have permission to create more? Should I just do it? And when you've done it, you did it. It's literally just action. It's so unhelpful. I wish I had better advice. It's honestly how I feel about it. Like, people ask me, how do I join the game industry? You make a game, but how do I do that? You learn how to make a game, but how do I do that? Okay, well, what do you want to make? Well, I want to make the next Minecraft. Okay, let's that back a little bit. So you want to make a game like Minecraft. So is it that you want to make a sandbox? Yeah, okay, great. Unity is free. How about you try to make a scene in Unity that is similar to Minecraft? Make a clone. Just learn how to make it. Oh, but how do I do that? You YouTube it, you Google it, you figure it out. You literally type in Google like Unity tutorial, how to make a Minecraft box. And someone has written it up or something like it. And you teach yourself that. Or better than Minecraft, honestly, start with Pong. Make a Pong clone. Teach yourself how to make a ball go across the screen and bounce up and down. And honestly, once you've done that, congratulations, now you're a game dev. I give you permission. I, Alanna, Linayre, have given you permission to call yourself a game dev when you've made a Pong clone. Congratulations, welcome. Once you're done with that, just keep on making things that you like. And if you like it, you're not so unique on this planet that other people aren't like you. So if you like it, guarantee other people will like it. I just keep on making things that I think are cool. And if I think it's cool, people like me will think it's cool. And I know that I'm not unique in that no one else is like me on this planet. And that's it.
What a great mindset you have.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's like doing stuff like in spite of you, you know? Like,
and yeah, that's not to say sometimes I don't like literally get sick and throw up from like but what if everyone hates me, and what like I do feel that, but then when I feel that, it's like, okay, cool, but who cares? Who cares? Who literally cares? Do I like it? I had to keep on asking myself, and it is hard. I'm not trying to like it is a paralyzing, debilitating feeling. And you can literally make yourself sick from it. But anytime you start to feel like that nausea and that like, do I even deserve to be in this room? Oh my gosh, I've played that person's game and I know that person from Twitter, and that person I admire so much, and they are talking to me. I don't understand why I'm here. I'm such a fraud. I don't understand it. I don't want to be here. I want to just hide. At that moment, just go, okay, but I am here. So therefore, logic says, I'm here. I'm in a game. I deserve, like, it's, you literally have to listen to your logic. And then when but is it good enough? You're like, yeah, okay. Who cares about what they like? Do I like it? Am I having fun? I've played Good Lookin' Home Cookin' a million times, right? Because I play tested it because we have no money and I do everything. So I've play tested that game. I would say 1,000 times, easy. Every time I played it, I had fun. Like every time I'd finish it, I'd be like, that was a good game. All right, let's play. Let's do the next bug. This is great. And as long as I'm enjoying my game, at least then I can put it in front of people and be proud. It's almost like making a food, right? So like if I make soup the way I like soup, if I put it on the table and everyone has a taste and everyone goes, ooh, this is too salty for me, I go, all right, more soup for me. I enjoy this soup. I made the soup the way I like it. So sorry you don't. And I guess as you make more, you'll make a soup or a game that more people will enjoy because your taste gets better. But of course, in the beginning, you're going to think you're bad because you are. It's the beginning. You have to be bad before you get good. So by sitting there and going like, oh, but am I good enough? No, you're probably not. But who cares? Just keep doing it and eventually you'll get there because your taste is probably better than your skill set because you've been playing games for so long. So if you're looking at these games that you love, you've got good taste, and then you're comparing it to your own stuff. Of course, there's going to be some disconnect of like, oh, but I wish it was like that. You'll get there eventually. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's a great mindset. And if you ever need a tester, I'm down. I don't want money, to be honest. I'm down to be a tester.
Thank you.
And someone
no.
in chat. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Mean Ginger in chat, which is actually one of our team in HP. She says it's actually worrying that we're listening to her like, oh my god, she thinks different. It just proves how bad the industry and how mistreated we are, and that is actually true.
Right though? Like, I shouldn't be this revolutionary. I felt like that when I was doing self-care consulting. Like, I'd go into a studio and I'd say all this stuff. And they'd be like, I never thought about it that way. And I'm like, one, great, good job, you're learning. Two, oh my God, but you run a studio of 75 people. What were you doing up until this point? You've been open for 10 years. It's 10 years of you not thinking maybe crunch is bad, possibly. I don't understand. Considering maybe, we only had 3 people go to the hospital last week. Ow! How about 0?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what keeps you motivated to keep working on your projects?
Spite and love. A mix of both. A mix of spite for the times that I thought I couldn't do it, either for myself or for others. And then love because, like, for example, good looking home cooking, right? So Amira is a hijabi. So to me, in my naivete bubble, when I observe people a lot. Before game dev, I was an actor. So I was basically a professional people watcher, because to be an actor, you have to people watch, and then you have to pick up how they do things. And that's how good actors do. Like, that's part of the craft. So my whole life, I've been people watching and just kind of observing the planet. And I forget that other people don't do that. So to me, it makes sense if I am putting a game in an American town that I'm going to have a diverse cast, because I am from New York and it's hella diverse here. So I'm literally just putting what I see into a game. And I don't mean to be PC or revolutionary when I do it. I'm literally just taking people that I see and that I know and putting them into a game because I think it would be fun to see how they interact with each other. With Good Looking Home Cooking, the amount of times I've watched a streamer play that game and break down in tears because they've never seen someone who looks like them before, because they've never played a game that takes place during Ramadan, because I put their favorite food into the game, because Amir looks just like them. Like, the attention to detail and the love that we put into our games, and then have someone sit there and say that they feel seen and heard, or that they could use my game to give to their friends and family to say, see, when Amira did this, that's how I feel when you do that, and be able to better express themselves. Like, what an honor.
Yes, totally. Like, now that you say that, like, whenever I was playing the game, there's a part, I'm not gonna spoil it, so you folks in the chat can play it. There's a part where there's a fight and someone's fighting, and like, that situation is so relatable, like, so bad, like, and it really resonated with me, and then, like, to me, that's one of, like, the best aspects in the game, like, actually feeling connection with it, even though, like, I have nothing to do with, like, the theme of the game, which I enjoyed a lot because I learned a lot about it. but like actually connecting in that way with the game, like it felt amazing to me because it put into like words or images even like feelings I sometimes cannot express. So that's awesome. Yeah, let's go.
I have bipolar disorder, and it is a very misunderstood illness. There is a Australian TV show that I love called Please Like Me, and the mother has bipolar disorder. And when I first started dating my partner, I legit was able to sit him down and not be like, you're about to learn about bipolar disorder, but I was like, there's this comedy I want us to watch. And we just watched a comedy and we enjoyed the media for like the entertainment value. But then when she was manic or something, I was able to be like, hey, see what she's doing right there? Remember last week when I did that? She's got the same illness as me. That's mania. That's what happens. And I'm able to use, or Carrie Fisher. I love Carrie Fisher. She's my biggest role model. Her comedy is great because I can, to a friend who thinks they know bipolar disorder and they don't, I can give them an hour special Carrie Fisher did and be like, watch Princess Leia be funny. Go. Have fun. And she'll educate them on bipolar disorder for me. And then they'll come back and they won't even think about it. They'll just remember the jokes. And then next time I'm in a low swing or next time I have mania, they'll go, oh yeah, when Carrie Fisher did that, she repaved her driveway. And I'm like, yes, exactly. Now you get it. You get it because you watched media in it. And that's like, it's life-changing. It's amazing.
Yes, like representation like really, really matters in everything. It's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much for it. Like people in chat are saying that they're loving you and we're loving you. Like it's so great to have you here. It's amazing. Thank you so much again for like being here.
Pleasure.
Going back to a little bit of what you said about like continuing by spite or love.
Yes.
How do you feel about making mistakes?
They're part of life. They're like necessary. If you don't make mistakes, you're not doing something new. If you don't make mistakes, that means you're doing something that you're already really good at. Which case, good for you, but I like to grow and learn, so I'm constantly making mistakes.
And it's actually something that even like more in, I'm gonna say like creative professions, not only like game dev, but like failing, it's really important. And there's like a saying or like analogy that I heard recently in a GDC talk by Victoria Tren, which is Innerslot's community manager.
Yes.
She compares failure to trash, and that we need to turn trash into compost and grow from it.
I love that. Oh, Victoria,
Yes.
I love that.
I as soon as I heard that, I was like, how? That's amazing.
Want to know how? Because Victoria is a very successful community manager, which means she has failed more than most. You don't get to the level that Victoria's at without eating crow sometimes and without completely messing up sometimes and without like not learning from it. Like I bet you that she's got some horror stories. And I bet you that sometimes she'll wake up at 2 a.m. in a cold sweat remembering some, I don't know what typo or something. Something that she did and it was just a complete mess. But you learn from it and you grow from it and you recognize that it's part of getting better. Victoria's a great example of that.
Yep, absolutely. I'm really happy right now. It's been a really nice episode. It's been a really, really nice episode.
Life is short. You should be happy.
It is. People in chat, like, they think the same, so.
Good. Hi, chat.
For example, when working with your team and, like, taking the mindset you have, what steps do you take or how do you find the right people to work with you?
Sometimes I make mistakes and I don't, and it's not a good match, and it's a difficult conversation, but you know it's so like when it doesn't match up and when it's not working out, you need to make sure that you're very clear with, this is what I expect from you, this is what I want to see. If I don't see this in this time, then unfortunately I'm going to let you go, or we'll figure something else out. That's only happened a small handful of times, but for the most part, people very much know what I'm about, so they join my team wanting that. So they kind of know what they're signing up for.
I think everyone should know what they're signing up for.
Yes.
All right, now
Awesome.
talking about the right people on your team. Let's talk about not the right people, but the diversity on your team. How do you approach the diversity on your team and the projects you develop?
I seek it out and demand it. I find that oftentimes people of color, Black people, and women and non-binary people, LGBT, when they see an opportunity, they think that they need to be a perfect match for it, and they don't apply. So I purposely make, anytime I need a new position, I make it very clear, like, even if you think you're only 50% qualified, please apply. The worst I'll say is I'll kindly say, you know what, not today. Like, you won't be punished. There's no punishment for trying. Go ahead, throw it at me. Because there are white men in the industry and they apply to everything. So, give me your resignation, like, give it to me. Give me your application. Just give me, please. And I actively seek them out. A lot of my team is very green. A lot of them, it's their very first game. When you do that, you need to realize that you're investing in the person and their growth, and sometimes that's a great investment. And they grow with you, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's fine too. You're not, like, when you hire with the person's potential in mind, it's less about you must have 5 years in the industry and 3 shipped games, and I never look at those types of achievements. I see if, first of all, I look at their Twitter, and I see if they are a bigot. That's like number one. When I get an application, I go, cool, let me just check out your Twitter and see if you're racist. And those automatically get thrown away. Then I see if they are just, like, nasty. Like, I look at their Steam account and I see what reviews they leave. And if valid criticism is totally fine. I'm not saying everyone needs to be positive all the time. In fact, I'm very much against that. You're allowed to feel a range of emotions. But if you're like, oh, these lazy devs didn't add multiplayer in a weekend, and I hate them, and they need to go burn in a fire this weekend, and I hate everything about this, I'm not hiring you. So I look at all that, and that's the first step. The second step is I see, is their perspective unique to who I already have? So our current core team is a person from Minnesota, originally from the East Coast, a person living in Bangladesh, in the capital city in Bangladesh, a person with a very unique upbringing, currently in California, but has close ties to foster care and a Mexican background, and a lot of that culture in his perspective. Who else? A out trans woman from the Netherlands, myself, who's just got an array of mental illnesses. So, like, I look to see, does that person add something to the team that we don't already have? So not necessarily like I wouldn't hire another trans person because we already have our token trans. It's not like that. It's more of like, is there some sort of voice that I'm missing, especially if I need it for a game like this? Our next game has a trans character. So, like, can I find a person who would get that? Not necessarily that they're trans, but they get it. And you can usually tell in a person's writing and how they felt, not their application, but how they felt, like forms and stuff I give them, and when I talk to them, if they kind of get the vibe you're going for. So I try to do a match of that. Then, of course, just general skill set. Can they, if it's a writing position, is their grammar good? If it's an art does the art match what we're going for? But the most important thing to me is, do they bring a perspective that we don't currently have? So it's not like I need to get a person from each country or a person of each color. It's that every person brings something that I don't have. And then when we have our meetings and I put the stuff in front of them, this person goes, oh, that doesn't sound right to me because, it looks like sometimes people use something like that as a slur against people like that, and I don't want to use that. Great. So before we even go to cultural consultants and before we even go to sensitivity readers, just by having a huge perspective in our core group, we're able to ensure that our games are at least sensitive to the general crowd and that people relate to them across a multiple array of perspectives. So we're not too niche. I don't know if any of that made sense.
Yes.
Actually, it does make sense.
Okay.
It does a lot of like a sense. It's really nice. Like it's more about what they can bring to the team rather than I actually need someone that's a certain sexual orientation or a certain race because we're making a game about it. It's more about like, actually working with people, and that's really nice. Now, just a couple more questions, so we can like end the stream and do the end of stream raid. What is the best experience you've had since you started in game dev?
The best experience I've had since I started game dev. Seeing the reactions to Good Looking Home Cooking has been pretty amazing. Like, I've cried about 10 times in the last 12 hours. It's been pretty magical. It's just been so lovely. I did not, I guess I underestimated how big of a deal it would be to some people and how much it would matter to some people. And then I very much was told by them. And I didn't know, like, at first it was just one or two. And then when I just had a slew of, like, because I also got a slew of hate mail, to be honest with you, and a lot of racist, horrible things, because of course I made a game about a Muslim girl, so of course I did. But in, like, ignoring all of that, I got a whole bunch of, like, I've never seen myself, like, those comments. I don't know what I did to deserve such love thrown my way. That's been so special.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear all your experiences.
There's actually one. Sorry, Alex. There's actually one comment in chat. Min Ginger says, "I don't want the stream to end. My heart feels so warm listening to her." You can relate.
Actually, you're so inspiring. I think we all have learned something in this episode.
Yeah, a lot. A lot, not just something, a lot.
I'm glad my camera's already, for whatever reason, tilting pink. It usually isn't, but today it is because y'all can't see how red I am. So this is a good thing.
It's completely fine.
Well, we usually close the stream with a Q&A part, so I'm gonna switch a little bit to Spanish for the Q&A, and while they when we get some questions, I'm gonna ask you another question while we get the questions. Okay? Let me go ahead and go back to Spanish. Ok, so ya llegó la hora de casi irnos. Lamentablemente este stream ha sido muy bonito, pero ya se saben la dinámica, y si para los que no se saben la dinámica, es hora de las preguntas y respuestas. Y si tienen alguna pregunta, ya sea para mí, para Alanna o para Squid, lo pueden poner aquí en el chat, y en lo que pues ella nos responde a esta última pregunta que tenemos para ella. ¿Algo que querías decir, Squid?
Sí, también si tienen a alguien que les gustaría que raideáramos al final, lo pueden dejar en el chat y le raideamos ya que terminemos las preguntas. Listo.
Okay. Back to English. So, to the folks interested in joining the game development industry, what advice would you give them?
That's a very So you could join AAA, AA, indie, etc. Kind of figure out what branch. You can change your mind, but like, figure out what branch you want to go into at least at first, because what you need for each is very different. For example, if you're going for AAA, it's going to be very niche and specialized. You're going to be working on this one jar of pickles that go in the back of Skyrim for like 6 years, and that will be your job, just to make sure the jar of pickles looks great. AA is kind of like that in between, like an indie studio that got funding, because often people think indie studios can get a lot of funding. Like, for example, Spiritfarer, Kowloon Knights funded that. Kowloon Knights funds from $500,000 to $2 million. So I don't know the specifics, but $1 million to $2 million for a game, that that's much different than my put together part-time waitressing paying for it out of pocket $10K game. So figure out, pick your poison, which path you want to go to, understand the risks of every single one of them, and understand that it is a very volatile and at times toxic industry. And it is up to you to take care of yourself. It's up to you to advocate for yourself, and it's up to you to keep a strong head on your shoulders, because it can eat you alive if you let it. Very bleak, right? But it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's something we need to hear if we want to get into the industry. So thank you so much.
It's just being realistic.
We have a question actually from Ming Ginger. She asked, where do you post your your job openings?
Careers.
On my Twitter, on the Toadhouse Games Twitter, and soon I'm going to be posting. I'm going to have it on the website on teamtoadhouse.com. I'm going to make a job application thing, because basically what I do is that when someone applies to us, I put it in a Google spreadsheet, and I put obviously their contact information, their rates, and what their specialty is. And then when we need it and when the budget allows for it, I reach out to them. So because we're small, it's two things. It's when we need their particular skill set, and when our budget allows for it, I then reach out to that person. So basically for us, you'll be put into our spreadsheet once, if you pass all the other things, which I'm sure you will, but I doubt you're a racist if you're in this cab. You know what I mean? That's what we do. So probably there, but just know it's small time what we're doing right now. Hopefully, Good Looking Go Cooking makes $10 million, and then that'll change. But until then,
let's hope you make those.
Yeah.
$10 million.
I'm gonna keep sharing it
Thank
so
you.
hard.
That's so helpful. Honestly, wish lists and sharing games and telling your friends, those are the 3 top things you can do to help indies. Wish lists are free to do, sharing your friends is free to do, sharing your social media is free to do, and it helps so much.
Awesome. There's another question. You gonna go ahead, Alex, or okay?
Go ahead.
There's another question. It's from Cass. It's a friend of ours. She's asking, how do you see the future of the video game industry for trans people, in terms of inclusion in games and development?
I think, so we're a visual novel indie game studio, right? So visual novels historically and to this day are huge for LGBT plus, especially trans people, because it's such a great medium to tell different stories. Often they're not funded well for many reasons I won't get into, but trans people have been represented in visual novels for ages. So if you're looking for your representation, not only our next game, please play it, but it's called Roll for Confidence. It'll be out shortly. I'm not quite sure yet because it's just in production, but you'll be able to find trans in visual novels. When it pops over to mainstream, which is what I think you're asking, when will we see trans people in a Rockstar game or something? It's honestly when the money says it will matter. Big AAA and publishers are very risk averse. They do not take risks. They don't. So we need to convince them that people will buy the games and will buy them at the same pace that they buy Call of Duty. So I don't know if that will take a Toadhouse game going viral and going, look, see, they're buying our game, you're missing out on money. But it all comes down to numbers and money. So whatever it takes to make it so that a trans character is not a risky money thing, that it will be guaranteed to sell copies and to make money, then we'll see it in AAA. Until then, indies.
Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Cass. And with that, I think that will be all the questions we have. We want to thank you again so much for coming here and speaking about your experience and what you think about
my pleasure
being a founder in the gaming industry. There's another question in chat. It's from Autista Juega. They are asking, is there an overlapping between feminism ideas about liberating female bodies of male gaze and trans representation, using those principles to build their character? And if so, how do you overcome them?
An overlapping between feminist ideas about liberating female bodies of male gaze and trans representation, using those principles to build their character. I don't know if I understand the question.
Let me just go ahead and post it here in the Discord so you can read it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kinda tricky.
Sure. Is it an overlapping between feminist ideas about liberating female bodies of male gaze? Okay. And trans representation, using those principles to build their character? And if so, how do you overcome them?
Okay, I think he's gonna rephrase it in Spanish, so...
Cool, please, thank you.
Yeah.
We can translate it.
Si le quieres preguntar en español... sorry. Si le quieres preguntar en español, puedes ponerla en español y nosotros tratamos de traducirla. Also, math memorizing skills. I would have completely lost that question. Awesome. Okay, while we wait for the question to get here, I just want to... oh, there you go. The question is here. Hay un conflicto entre la ideología feminista de liberar el cuerpo feminista, son machistas y usuarios estándares para construir personajes trans. Y si no sabe cómo sobrevivir. It's quite similar, I think.
Yeah. Is there a conflict between the feminist ideology from freeing the feminine body from the
male gaze,
male
right? So
standard?
that basically is usually when you see women in media, it's from a male gaze point of view. So think of Birds of Prey or Harley Quinn, how anytime she goes on screen, you see the scroll up from her whole leg. That's the male gaze. So when you see characters, but in a sexualized light, because that's apparently, I'm not a guy, so that's how guys see women, I guess. So I guess they're asking, so that's the feminist idea about liberating female bodies in the male gaze. But I don't understand the trans representation using those principles to build a character.
I think they're asking if there's a conflict between liberating women from said male gaze and actually trying to portray trans people to said male gaze to make them more approachable. I think that's what they're trying to ask. And do you think there's a conflict between actually trans representation for the male gaze and liberating female characters
body
from said gaze?
Well, why couldn't you do both? So trans representation, right? So is it that the assumption is that for example, trans women to be seen as women, they need to be seen in a male gaze? I feel like you could do both. I feel like you could have a proper trans representation in a game and show women in a non-male gazy type. I mean, none of my games are male gaze simply because I'm not male and I don't see the world like that. They're not even female gazy because there's no sexual partners in my games. It's very platonic. I made people that I thought were cool that I wanted to be friends with. So for like writing trans characters, and okay, is there an overlap between them? I mean, I guess in the fact that the standard is being challenged. So the standard of male gaze and proper trans representation, because usually trans representation, they're seen as predators, they're seen as men dressing up as women and trying to sneak into bathrooms to be sneaky, they're seen as they're lying, it's seen as some sort of deceitful thing when it's not. And I guess that could come from like that toxic masculinity thing. So then there's an overlap because you have the male gaze on the female's body. Yeah. And then you also have the toxic masculinity of assuming that trans women are playing pretend in order to gain access to women, I guess. But as a person who doesn't see the world like that in either way, I don't know how to answer the question. It's not my point of view, so I don't know. For me, I would just be as truthful and honest with how I wrote the characters. So how do I overcome it? I don't write from a male point of view. I don't sexualize anyone in my game, but especially not women. And I write trans people as if they're human, because they are. So I just write human characters and it kind of solves the issue for me.
Yes.
I think that last word answers the questions, basically.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry if I didn't understand your question properly. My apologies.
It was quite tricky, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but it was quite tricky.
But thank you so much for the question. Thank you, Alanna, for answering the question. I hope that answers your question. And if there are no more questions in chat, we're going to go ahead and close this episode. Again, thank you so much, Alanna, for coming and sharing an amazing episode with us, with your experience and what your beliefs are as a founder of a game development studio.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know if you have anything else you would like to say or anything else you would like to say, Alex?
No, it's been an honor. But again, I think we all have learned a lot today. Thank you so much for being here. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you for having me.
Keep on doing games.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd just add, please play Good Looking Home Cooking. It's only $5 USD, and we have community copies. So if you're in a country that can't access PayPal or itch for whatever reason, or if money's tight, or you don't have to tell us the reason, you can still play the game. So I'm not even asking for you to give me money. I'm asking you just to play my game and then tell a friend about it. There's community copies. They're complimentary. Pick one of those up if you can't afford it, but please just play my game and tell your friends.
There you go. Absolutely. Play Good Looking Home Cooking. I left the link in the chat. Go ahead, follow them on each. Like, if you can, buy the game on each. I'm buying one copy for my wife as well because I really want her to play it. But
and
thank you so much
again.
Yes, wishlist, call me Sarah. I think from going into adulthood, it's really nice to hear that people are sometimes having troubles doing friends, and having a game about that is actually amazing. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, also I'm gonna make an announcement. I got an idea today. So tomorrow I'm coming back to streams, for those who know I streamed before. So tomorrow I'm gonna do a giveaway for Good Looking Good Cooking.
Oh, yay!
Awesome.
So I'm gonna do a giveaway for 2 copies.
Cute.
Awesome. There you go, chats. If you didn't have the money, now you have an opportunity to play. I always mix them. Good Looking Home Cooking. I always mix the Good Cooking Home Looking.
It's fine. I didn't do myself any favors. All of my games are named very awkwardly.
No, that's okay.
It's a tricky one.
I think it has to do with being my second language, so it's okay. I know.
English is my first, and I still have to think about it right before. I named it, and I still have to think about it sometimes before I say it.
Me refiero al mío, sino al tiempo que llegue aquí.
Wait, hold on, there you go. Yes, thank you. So we're gonna go ahead and do the raid. I'm gonna go back to Spanish for a little bit, and we're gonna finish the stream. Muchas gracias, chat, por estar aquí, por estar participando, por estar comentando. La verdad lo agradecemos mucho. Espero que hayan disfrutado la experiencia que nos contó Alanna. Y sin más por el momento, vamos a hacer el raid. Si tienen a alguien que les gustaría que raidáramos, lo pueden dejar en el chat. Si no, nos vamos a ir con Tapioco. Espero siga streameando ahorita.
Está Raven ahí también.
Vámonos con Raven. Entonces, mejor. Gracias a ustedes, hermoso capital humano. Ay, gracias. Muchas gracias, Mao. A ver, Raven. Raven. Ay, es 93, ¿verdad? Sí, le digo.
Ya.
Ok, entonces nos vamos con el raid de nuevo. Muchas gracias, chat, por estar aquí. Yo fui Luis Quid, él fue el señor extremo. Ahora sí estás de mi lado izquierdo o derecho, no sé. Y ella fue Alanna. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Que tengan un buen resto de semana. Nos veremos el siguiente jueves. Papá, y nos vamos con el raid. En 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Adiós, chat.